Call a regular city council meeting Wednesday, November 13th, 2013 to order. Call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Here.
Ferrari.
Here.
Waldorf.
Here.
Lukosius.
Here.
Perez.
Here.
Radke.
Here.
Mueller.
Here.
Sapienza.
Here.
Mayor Harrell.
Here. Pledge of allegiance. Okay, there's no presentation, but the governor flew into the airport this afternoon. He had some very good news for Spring Valley. It was very nice to hear that. He gave them $9.5 million for the design, the engineering, and the build of a wastewater treatment plant. They badly need that because they had a big problem down there. So that's very good news for Spring Valley. Governor flew in and was there for about an hour and flew back out. So congratulations to Spring Valley. Public comment cards?
None, Your Honor.
Do we have a motion to receive the regular meeting minutes of November 4th, 2013, placed on file?
So moved, Your Honor. Second, Your Honor.
Been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Committee reports. Council and Finance, Alderman Putoff, Alderman Radke.
Yes, Your Honor, I have a number of items to update the council with. First item is the Route 6 Association meeting will be held November 26th at 2 o'clock. The goal is to get a group of people along the downtown front. Actually, from our area, it's the west end of Peru to the east end of Peru. We've got a lot of different businesses on Route 6. The goal is to kind of create some activity, some action, some ideas, and the Economic Development Director will be there, and we're hoping that we can spur some development or at least spur some ideas with the Route 6 Association. The health insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield, has come up with a revised increase. That revised increase is 9.15%. That's the increase over last year's. Again, what the Finance Committee had decided to do, we will continue the self-insurance phase. We will again, I guess we'll be getting all of the bids back this week sometime. We'll be meeting with the Finance Committee on November 27th at 1 p.m. That's the day before Thanksgiving, so I hope at least the council members can attend this meeting at 1 o'clock, and we can discuss some update and make some decisions as far as our self-insured programs going. Remember, even a 9.15% increase still is, that's $1 million premium we're dealing with. So, you know, you're still looking at $90,000 of an increase. January 1st, the clerk's office will go paperless, and we have had a variety of different discussion and ideas on what to do. Really, from the Finance Committee meeting, it's really going to be up to what the council wants to do. I think it's a great idea to go paperless. What will happen is you'll be able to receive all of your information electronically from the city council members or to the residents of Peru. There will also continue to be agendas, minutes, and items that will be available for people who drop in and don't have it downloaded on their computer. I know myself and a number of other aldermen have said that, you know, they have access to electronic information. Will be able to take that on their home computers or whatever they feel like doing. There are still, we would like to make something available for those people who don't have access to some type of machine or something that will get all of the minutes that you need. So there's still some discussion on what to do as far as that's concerned. The base price for it, a base tablet, would be about $200. And again, I just want to know is who would be interested from the City Council, and what would we do to meet the needs to make sure everybody gets everything electronically based?
Well, first off, I think that there's more use for a laptop than a tablet. I think it will be easier to type on and easier to use as far as I'm concerned.
I have a recommendation. What if the clerk's office was to purchase 8 of them, and the alderman could check one out, whoever would like to have a tablet or a laptop, whatever we decide to purchase, and this way they're available for whether, we're here for a year and a half, 4 years, or whatever. Just a suggestion.
Return it when it's completed.
That's right.
I guess the next thing is we need to discuss is what's better served, a laptop or a tablet. I think that's the point that I was trying to get at, is what would people be better served with, if anything?
I think the tablet is more convenient. These do come with pretty nice sized keypads. They also have an attachment that you can get that actually has the keypad there that you can type on. So they're more mobile, easier to carry, and a lot easier to haul around with you than a big laptop, but that's up to the council. That's just my recommendation.
The only drawback, as I once said, the laptop would have a USB port, which I think would be, beneficial at times if you got material that was downloaded that you could pass out that way.
But some of the iPads, Secretary Clark was studying that you can do it with iPads too.
To my knowledge, unless the newest iPad has a USB port, they don't have USB ports.
The only economical option with a USB port is the Microsoft Surface, which is a tablet that you can purchase an optional keyboard, and you have the USB, and it comes preloaded with Microsoft Office. But you're in the $550 range for the computer itself, and then another $130 for the keyboard. Now that would function as a laptop or a tablet, and you would have Office and USB, but it's significantly more expensive than a base $200 tablet.
Yeah, again, I don't mean to have the whole city council meeting tonight based on how we're going to electronically get our information, but just kind of a show of hands is who would like or needs this service as far as electronic? Okay, 1, 2. There. Okay. So probably city should look at purchasing, maybe 3 to 4 for that usage. Okay. As far as a tablet or a notebook, we're again research the prices on that, and we'll go with that. The main idea is that everybody has access to the information that everybody else has to, and I think it's fair judgment that we do provide that for the people who need it. So we'll go further with that. We're looking at probably a purchase of 3 to 4, and we'll weigh the options of laptop and tablet. Does anybody want to work with Clerk Bartley on that research? Okay, Tony, whatever will fit your, that would be great. Okay, please. Tax levy is under review right now. I hope all the council members have this at your desk, or if you haven't had it, we will have that at your desk. That's preliminary tax levy. We really need to have it approved sometime within the next month here.
If we could kind of get this thing put together by, it'd be great if we could do it in the next meeting to get it approved. This way we could get it to the county well before when it's due. So, just take a look at this. If you have any changes, we talked about it in finance, and no one really had any problems with it the way it stood. So if you do have any issues, let me know, and I'll get back with Dave and Mike.
Yeah, I guess my only thing is to give it thought. The greater majority of it is based with pensions. It's the firemen's and police pensions. And to really think about it, are we catching up by levying this amount of money? We may have to, will it take us 20 years or 15 years to catch up? That's a decision that, we'll have to make as a city council. So evaluate that a little bit and come back, and we'll have some further discussion on that. But it's an important issue, and again, we have to look towards the future, that they're not left with an enormous bill. We also received the renewal of the liability and workman's comp. Last year's was $596,040. This year's $593,198. So there's a shining light. We're going to save about $2,000, a little over $2,000 from last year. Again, a lot of it was because of the work that Mr. King has done. and also the city and the city employees as far as looking at all of the liability issues and safety, bringing safety to the most important forefront. The employee contribution rate for the city approved for the IMRF is 23.85% is what we will be paying next year for the IMRF. If you notice the IMRF pension of all the pensions in the state of Illinois, that's the most well-funded one. And obviously the idea of billing out cities according to what they feel that the charts and the rate of performance will yield, they have an unlimited way to do that. They just bill you whatever they feel fit. So the city will be paying 23.85% for IMRF next year. A public information channel, we discussed a little bit of that. Comcast is giving up that channel. They have offered it to the city approved for about $24,000 for the channel. Again, that's something that was brought up in the Finance Committee. We didn't see a real positive need as having this station or having the channel, but again, wanted to bring it as far as thoughts are from the City Council. Any ideas or thoughts? That's Channel 13. And again, it's been time, again, that they've said they will be getting rid of it soon enough, and you can have it for this amount of money. If you have any ideas, please let us know.
The amount of $24,000 is actually to run the wire to the municipal building, so that any feed that we would have would run from the municipal building to Comcast. Because right now the hardware that they use is at their office in Peru. So it's not actually a cost for the use of it, it's more of a cost of connection.
But there would be other charges for cameras and
Yeah,
sound equipment.
yeah, there'd be likely other, not likely, but whatever other things that we wanted to do in-house, video or, you know, any other maintenance of the site, we'd have to provide our own personnel and hardware, yes.
And you can certainly do it by charging the fees to the Comcast customers. A municipality can charge an extra 40 cents, 45 cents a month to the customers for the uses of that channel. 35 cents to use the channel if you so desire. I really don't want to put the public, even if it's only 35 cents a month, under something that they have to purchase. Taxi service license had come up at the Finance Committee. There are interested parties from outside the city that are looking to establish a taxi service. We had suggested that Chief Burnaby look over ordinances regarding that, look over checks and different things of that, and bring that to the council. The MAPS, which is the dispatchers, has approved the contract. They will be signing it, and we will come back to the City Council for ratification within the next few weeks. Any other Finance Committee items to cover tonight? That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Public Works, Alderman Waldorf, Alderman Lukosius.
No electric report at this time, Your Honor.
There are a couple of things here. On our agenda, there's a motion to approve the purchase of one 6x4 tandem with the winter package from Central Illinois Trucks Incorporated in the amount of $140,415. Sean, I'll let you go ahead and explain about the two trucks and the missing one, and get the council up to speed with that, and then go ahead and make that motion.
Okay, there's two trucks on the agenda tonight. The first one that Alderman Alderman Waldorf just mentioned. The second one's actually at the bottom. If you recall, I think it was about a month ago, we brought in front of the council. We had a truck that was deemed unsafe for the road use, and we went ahead and made a motion to purchase that truck. So that truck has been under the works and getting done, and in that meantime, we had the other truck stolen, missing, misplaced, whichever you want to say. We've been trying to find a replacement truck for that. We have found no viable options at this point in time. And considering the position we're in right now, we need another truck to fill all of our spots through the city, otherwise we're gonna be a truck short.
The new one takes a while to deliver.
The new one won't be here till February or March, based on last talks with, CIT, which is Central Illinois Trucks.
Yes.
The one thing, back a month ago, when we went ahead and approved the purchase of this used truck that's written here for the value that we did, I think it was around 36.2, we were gonna trade in the truck that was not roadworthy. Well, we're gonna keep that one for the time being now, considering the tandem, the one that we're talking about, will not be here till February, so I'll be a truck short until that one gets here. So we're gonna put as little money as possible into the one that wasn't roadworthy, take it out of the deal for the used truck that we purchased a month ago, and that's the reason we're coming up to the new value of $40,200.
Now, the truck that wasn't roadworthy will be made safe.
Like I said, Joe and I have already talked about it. We're gonna put as little money in as we can as possible, get it roadworthy. We have other opportunities as far as possible uses for that truck after we get the tandem. One thought, and I mentioned it to Chuck today, we could possibly, if he has someone to drive it, he could use it to plow the airport, which would be a benefit to my guys, because we're not going up there after we get our routes done and everything like that, so that's a possibility. It wouldn't be on a street or anything. The only thing we'd have to worry about is not hitting lights and whatnot, so that's a possibility. If that doesn't come to light, we will, whenever we do purchase another truck, or, we come down in the next year or so, 5 years from now, whatever we do another truck, we will get rid of, we'll be getting rid of 1 or 2 or 3 trucks, I mean, we're not gonna have an abundance of trucks if anybody's worried about that.
We don't know.
I just need to get through the season.
Sure.
Until we get the new tandem, and that should help us out come February, March.
Okay, with that, I will make a motion to approve the purchase of one 6x4 tandem with the winter package from Central Illinois Trucking in the amount of $140,415.
I'll second that.
Been a motion and a second. Clerk call roll. Is there any discussion on that?
There was no option to rent, correct? For a couple months?
Not a viable option. We couldn't find any, we could probably do that, but to be consistent with it, because a lot of those guys use their trucks for plowing as well, it's, to make sure we had the truck 100% of the time was a hard thing to sell right
Okay.
now. So, my opinion right now, the way we're
Sure.
looking at this
Okay.
is the best option we've got.
Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
So moved.
Next, Your Honor, we do need to approve the change order, the purchase price of the 2001 3-ton dump truck, not to exceed $40,200. So I will make that a motion.
Second, Your Honor.
Been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
So moved.
I think we'll jump ahead, Sean, and just stay with you to discuss and possibly approve the Geographic Infrastructure System, abbreviated GIS, related expenses. We all got a spreadsheet. I don't have that in front of me. I've got it on my phone. But under that heading would be the purchase of Autodesk AutoCAD in the amount of $4,976. The lease of an Image Prograph IPF 825 printer with scanner from Illinois Valley Business Equipment in the amount of $310 per month. Purchase of a Leica rover and data collector from Cara Company Incorporated in the amount of $18,365.95. And the purchase of WTH Technology Incorporated Think GIS software licenses and client support packages in the amount of $4,250, and that includes 5 licenses. So, Sean, have at her.
Well, as many of you know, one of the big things we're trying to get caught up on is mapping and everything throughout the city. Just with it coming from ward maps to our utilities to anything across city maintenance records. A lot of these tools would help us in doing that moving forward. The big one obviously is the data collector and rover. That is literally what it says. I mean, we'll go out and we'll actually shoot each one of these manholes, shoot the electric company stuff, shoot our utilities. Anything we need, we could always go out and shoot and get done with, and that's, you know, you'll get vertical and horizontal references for that. AutoCAD, that's a very standard thing. That'd probably be mostly for me. We'd use it to draw plans or anything that will come up as we come through, and that's kind of our hope as we move forward with anything that I may be able to produce as time goes on. The scanner and printer, the scanner to produce plans for people to have, obviously. And the last one there, the GIS software, it's actually the same company that our police department uses. I worked them out pretty well about 2 weeks ago now to make sure that they could facilitate some of the things that I see coming through the pipeline as we start to get some of these utility maps and maintenance and everything going. I think he was here for about 6 hours that day, so I don't know if he was too happy about that, but he was here for a long time. I mean, all this stuff, you know, as I see, would greatly help me in my role here. You know, only being here for 4 months or 5 months now. I know it's something that has been an issue as we went on. This is a great way to keep maintenance records, keep, you know, everything that you can probably think of can go into these systems. So building and zoning would use it. I mean, there's a reason we went for 5 licenses is because we'll have, you know, people gathering data that'll have to put stuff in, and then we'll have building and zoning using it. I'll be using it. You know, I've already been in the police department's office probably 3 or 4 times this past week using it to try to get tax information and different things like that. There's a lot of upside to it. It's a big upfront cost, but in the long run, I think it'd be a good thing. The one thing to note is, as with everything, there's you know, you have the upfront cost and you have an annual subscription cost, and I hope everybody saw that in the layout of my spreadsheet for you. The upfront cost is here. I mean, obviously, as time goes on, we'll get these annual subscriptions, and you know, they're very typical. I mean, every software update that I know has these things, and there's no way to really get around them. So I'd be open for any questions. I know this is a lot to take in at one time, but it's kind of a...
Sean, I do have a question. Just simplify it for me. Is how does this save the city money? Long and short term.
Long and short term, I'll give you a perfect example. FEMA came in and asked me produce maintenance records for a certain piece of sewer. I couldn't do it because I would be searching through a stack of paper this high. Whereas in these things, with like GIS, I could just click on that line and pull, it'll just show me all the maintenance records. I mean, that's the biggest example I've had in the past month or two, since we've been going through all the FEMA, you know, the FEMA things as we went on. That was the big one that came through with all this. Another example is all the maps we produce, I could produce. You know, ward maps, our snowplow maps, leaf maps, all that stuff. That can all be put into this, and I just print it out and hand it to everybody. I mean, I guess that's the long and the short. I mean, if there's any specific questions, I mean, these things can be used for a lot of things. And I know Doug can talk to this. They've come up with some great ideas, and actually, I'm looking at using one in our equipment base because we can use this to track our equipment efficiency and whatnot. And, you know, that's in a great time, but we can do it.
Does it help or assist with in-house engineering?
It will, yes. The big push right now is we have old hand-drawn maps. This would help us immensely because we'll be able to take a lot more data and be able to use it as time goes on much more efficiently.
Sean, this question is actually for Treasurer Hyla. We had talked about 4 or 5 months ago, at the time that Sean came on board, about some of these purchases being looked at for the future. I actually thought it was further out into the future than now. But my question to you, Treasurer Hyla, is what is your strategy for paying for $30,000 worth of engineering equipment?
Yeah, give you an idea. I think if I've got this correct, it's $35,891.95 to be precise. and also the extra computer. But the thing is you have to take a look at how this is going to be spread out over the city. You're going to have everybody from zoning to street to the electric department to water and sewer involved with this. So what I've really proposed to Sean is we've talked about 3 different venues of how we could do this. You know, depending on what portion of this is going to be used at what particular area. In other words, is zoning going to use maybe 10% of it? Is street going to use 40%? Water and sewer 40%? And electric use the remaining 30 or whatever is left? We'll be able to sit there and divvy the cost, the original cost of this for the purchase between those particular funds. So know which one fund is going to have a real big issue. You know, Jim might have 10,000, the general fund might have 30,000, and the water and sewer might have something else. So it's not going to be a burden on anybody. It really isn't.
You know, since I've started here, I mean, I know we've talked about it. I mean, it's come up a few times, and you know, just moving forward. I mean, like I said, I mean, you know, hopefully one day, I mean, I could get down to the point where I could tell you the meter number on somebody's water meter with this data. I mean, it'll be efficiency uses. I mean, our guys won't have to drive back and forth at their parts. You know, they can look on the maps and see what they need before they leave the shop. I mean, there's just a lot of upside to this stuff. Sign inventories. I mean, just unbelievable upside. Organization. I mean, it'll take a long time to get there. I won't lie. This is just one of those upfront things that kind of needs to be done. And sorry it's coming so quickly, but trying to get stuff done.
Yeah,
I think what you're saying is that the goal is to somewhat professionalize the city's utilities operations and also reduce some costs with external engineering support. And quite frankly, that's what we hired you to do. So.
Yeah, I mean, in the long run, yes, it will take some time to get there, though. So just keep that in mind. And there will be always a need for somebody to come in and do our surveys and, you know, help us out with bigger projects. So I mean, you know, the street projects and all that, this is a perfect example for that, because I won't need anybody for any of that. And once we get this, I can draw the maps and do everything we can. And once I understand the software, will be, you know, that kind of stuff will be very easy to put together.
Sean, how do you anticipate loading in all this past history? That'll take more than you.
Well, yes, and on the bottom of the spreadsheet, I proposed. I went and saw a lot of different communities. I talked to Ottawa. I've talked to Streeter. I've talked to a gentleman over. I can't think of the name of it, just east of us. But Streeter was in the exact same situation when they hired him on, and this is kind of the process he went through: data collection, GIS. Ottawa kind of did the same thing with the GIS stuff. Ottawa went out and actually hired interns, and they went through with the data collector, and physically went out, and we would be shooting every rim, every street light pole, you know, everything in the city. They physically do that with this data collector. It took them about 4 years to do it, but they hired 3 to 4 interns for the summers, and that's what they did. So that's my proposal. If we don't do something along those lines, it'll take us significantly more time. I also looked into possibly having an outside agency come in and do that. That's an enormous amount of money. I couldn't justify that for the means that we were trying to get accomplished. I mean, I think we could do it. I think we could get the entire city, all the utilities collected in 5 years, would be my guess, 5 to 6 years, if we got, you know, 4 interns a year, let's say, to kind of get all this information. And then we're also doing inspections as we go along.
I can't see spending all this effort and time without trying to load in all that past history too, because that's going to be significant for accidents and projecting and.
Yeah, and I mean, we're going to take the old maps and use those as a guideline and try to get that, but considering the way the old maps were, you can't just scan them in and have them on a you know what I mean? It doesn't work that way. So the one thing that by doing it the way that I kind of proposed here, we're kind of we're double dipping, I guess. You know, I don't have to hire somebody and have them physically hand draw all this, you know, all these dots in and put all that stuff in. I mean, we'll go out and shoot it. We'll have accurate data for anybody that will come to the city. They can have it, and then put together all of our maps and figure it all that way, but use that data as a guideline to what we have. Because a lot of our stuff right now is kind of hand drawn. you know, we put it in these files, and it literally, I mean, our water main break maps are this big. I mean, some of you guys have seen my office with the push pins on my board. I mean, that's a perfect example of how we can keep track of some of this stuff.
No, the interns would be a good way to go, and some of them, frankly, you can get for nothing because they'll get college credit for it. I know Mike's McNamara's son Joey did it, and I think weren't there three of them, at it was one of the Quad Cities, wasn't it? Yeah, Moline or something just had three of the college students, and frankly, they're so good with GIS now. It's unbelievable. I saw a presentation my son did in court down in Florida, and it's just, you know, the stuff they do, they're just light years ahead of us old people. but a lot of them will go up to 9 hours credit, depending upon the amount of hours that they put in.
And I've actually talked to a lot of the colleges in the area. IVCC I've already been in contact with, so we've already talked about those discussions. I'm actually getting a lot of interest from them right now. I talked to UVI. I've talked to Northern. We're getting those processes started just in case we need to move on something. So we're trying to move in that direction. You know, of course, with the council's approval, I won't act, but you know, we're trying to get to that point where we can be set up and ready to go come next summer, have all the kinks kind of worked out, and then let them go and get all this stuff starting to be collected. So
You've been out and about talking to other communities, and as I look back, I hope you don't mind, Brett, you're an engineer. Are you familiar with this system? Okay, thank you.
the whole thing of everything going paperless, that's kind of the other aspect too. We always have the backup. I don't have to worry about us losing records. So
One last question with the lease, the $310 per month, is that continuous? Is there a end of the contract with that?
No, it's 36 months. That was a 36-month lease. In the email that I sent you, or the packets that you got, there was an email that I've been talking with some of these businesses, and they laid out some 60-month lease options for $207 a month, or a 36-month lease for $310. Doesn't matter to me. I've been going up to the electric department, printing everything off, and we're trying to figure out how to get everything scanned. I don't want to go copy all to get a lot of this stuff scanned, so it'd just be a benefit in that aspect.
Well, you've done your homework, and it's your profession, so I'll run with it. Thank you.
All right, then I will make a motion to approve geographic infrastructure system-related expenses.
I will second that.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Putoff. Aye. Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
So moved.
Next, Your Honor, I would like to discuss and possibly make a motion to seek bids, actually discuss and make a motion to seek bids for the Kings Inn Banquet Center demolition and asbestos abatement.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor, although I voted no to purchase it, we have to get rid of it, so I will be voting to go out for bids to get rid of that thing. So,
Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Putoff. Aye. Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Next,
So
Your Honor,
moved.
excuse me.
That one's so moved. Next.
Gentlemen and ladies, we need to start the discussions and get your wish lists out for the 2014 street recommendations from the aldermen. So keep that in mind and make your lists. Sean, do you have something?
Yeah, just one thing when everybody looks at these, if you could, I know in the past few years we've had a lot of drainage concerns. Kind of pay attention to those as you think about these streets. if we need to do some curb work, you know, that would be the time to do it, to fix some of those drainage problems. So just kind of an FYI, just, if you have notes, you know, make sure you let me know.
You know, maybe this is just a thought, but wouldn't it be a recommendation that you pick out the streets?
I would second
that. I would love that.
And you come to the council with,
your new equipment.
this is your streets?
Give me a little. I could certainly do that. It'll take me a little bit of time to put together a list. I know we have talked at committee level about a pavement management, an independent third party coming in and kind of independently testing and flexually testing our roads to give us a rating for them. That was talked about. I was actually hoping to give and I mentioned this in the last public meetings, maybe give a little presentation on that. But I could definitely, that is something I could definitely do. It'll take a little bit of time, but I'm sure I could drive the streets quickly and find 6, 7, 8.
Well, I
roads
think,
to do.
I think starting with the problem areas that we've, you know, uncovered so far, I think, you know, starting with that and moving forward.
That's not a problem. I can do that.
Actually, if you could start with the second ward.
Here
You know, I
we
was
go.
just thinking of that, because now that we've redrawn the ward maps and the third ward is the oldest ward in the city and landlocked, I would appreciate it if you would start with the third ward and pay particularly good attention to it.
Do you need a second on that, Dave?
I do. All right, just to back up
Just
here.
one more question. Are you working with the treasurer? Are we coming up with a budget for this year's road program? Where are we at with that?
We've been talking about that. I think in the next month or so, we're going to be starting to formally go through that process. So, because I think it'll be more than just roads. I mean, we'll basically call it an infrastructure budget. I mean, depending on what we want to do. So, I mean, it'll be a big process to get through some of that. So.
You realize you're going to have one alderman from each ward not happy with whichever street you pick, because probably.
Yeah, in fact, just to kind of add to that a little bit, we'll be updating all of our projections of what type of funds we'll have available for next year's program within the next, like Sean said, the next 30 days. And I know that Sean's been in touch with Chris and a few of the other people. So, you know, really, hopefully we should have the infrastructure part, I hope, depending on Sean's schedule, pretty well nailed down. You think the end of January?
Oh, yeah.
Early bids are better bids. Going back to the first page of your agenda, we need to discuss the water softener repairs at the North Water Treatment Plant. Chris, you want to take that,
real
please?
quick. We've been budgeting 25 to 30,000 to rehab our water softeners. They've been in service since the late 90s. And a couple of weeks ago, we had one fail, and then, which is normally not a big deal, but then shortly thereacter, another one failed. And after draining them out and cleaning them out and inspecting them after taking all the media out, have a Michelini come and suck them out for us. There's a support system that failed in them, and we're working with the manufacturer now and in talking with them. They're not really designing them that way anymore. So we're working on getting two softeners rehabbed right away. I mean, one for sure, and then the second shortly thereafter. We've been budgeting normally 25 to 30 a year. We didn't rehab one last year. There's going to be a little extra cost associated with that support system. It was a metal plate at the bottom of it, painted, and they're not making them that way anymore, so we're seeing if it's cheaper to replace that or do it to recommend, and I'm thinking that's the route we want to go, but actually fill it, grout it up with cement and not have that and have a distribution system. But I guess long story short, I'll be coming back with some harder numbers, but, you know, we're going to be looking at potentially, you know, $50,000-$60,000 probably. So
Each?
No, maybe 30-35 each, something like that.
Yeah, I think we looked at.
Yeah.
I think it was like 25 or 26 for the media.
The media is,
and then whatever to fix it.
Whatever to fix it. We're not. That's the price I don't know about. The actual replacement of the media, as you recall, the last time we did it was around 25,000. So, and then, yeah, that's it for that. And you want me to go on to the
Yes,
next
please,
item?
to discuss and approve sludge hauling for the East Wastewater Treatment Plant.
The East Wastewater Treatment Plant, we haul sludge out of there from time to time. The last time we did that was back in '09. There's 2 companies in the area that do it. We got quotes from each. Stewart Spreading was 8.2 cents per gallon with no restrictions on how thick it is and how much we're going to get rid of. And then AgTech had, they had like a sliding chart, and it varied anywhere from 8 to 12 cents per gallon, depending on how thick it is, with a minimum of 600,000 gallons that they wanted us to take and get rid of. So when you worked out, we're at about 12% solids, which is over AgTech's little sliding chart. That was going to fall right around, I think, anywhere from 10 to 12 cents per gallon for AgTech. So we're recommending going with Stewart Spreading to haul that. And we have it in the budget yearly as a $50,000 line item in there because we're not sure when we're going to need it or not need it. So it's always there every year, I believe. Correct, Treasurer Howard? Yeah. So
Chris, what was the cost on Stewart per?
8.2 cents per gallon. And AgTech,
8 to 12.
8 to 12.
But Stewart was without regard to
yeah.
thickness or.
Stewart didn't have any of those minimum requirements. Where if you factor all that into AgTech's price, you're going to be looking at right around 9.6 cents per gallon. So Stewart, $500,000 about potentially to could be up to 600,000.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve sludge hauling for the East Wastewater Treatment Plant.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Radke. Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
So moved.
Chris, are you far enough along that we need an item on the agenda for Monday night to make a motion on the softener repairs?
I'll let you know. I'm waiting on Tonka to get back with us on a price, so.
Dave, could we get that on the agenda then? And we can always table it until the next meeting.
I'll talk to you on Friday with a contractor and the costs.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you. That's all from Public Works.
Public Health and Safety, Alderman Ferrari, Alderman Sapienza.
Do you have anything?
Your Honor, I have nothing at this time from the fire department.
Anything? That's all we have, Your Honor.
Public Property, Alderman Perez, Alderman Mueller.
Yes, Your Honor. We have no report at this time. However, there was a Park and Rec meeting last night. So if I could give a little report on that. The Park and Rec Board, as we all know, decided to have a pickleball court at 28th Street Park, and the council voted to give them a 3-year trial period, and which that trial period would end in spring of 2015. Well, last evening they have decided to move pickleball to Sunset Park and use the very unused tennis court there. And we had looked into that during the last administration. We talked to some neighbors, and I know that there's been some neighbors contacted recently also down there. The thing is that the park board will go ahead and put the tennis court back as it was through their funds if the city pays to have the transition made over to Sunset Park at the tennis court. And by doing that, they were going to give us an estimate on everything. They're coming up with a quote of approximately $8,000 that the city would have to transition that court into a pickleball court to have that moved. They're willing to pick up and move for next spring, or have everything ready to go, and the new tennis court put back over at 28th Street Park, and the new pickleball ready to roll. And which would save a lot of complaints coming in from the neighbors over at 28th Street Park. The ongoing nuisance of noise has been continuous. Their residents are 20 feet away from that court, and they would appreciate it if that could be moved ASAP. So we are working with the Park and Rec to do that. We are going to schedule a meeting for Monday evening at 6:30. If we could have an agenda made for that, Alderman, or I'm sorry, Clerk Bartley. Alderman Mueller, do you have anything?
No, we will be needing to bring this before the council,
Yes,
correct?
absolutely.
Okay, with
We're
our
gonna-
recommendation?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. There was a couple of things actually brought up last night. The ice skating rink, and I believe that's already going, and we started that over at McKinley Park. Fencing is also another thing that's been discussed. They want to put fencing up around that diamond there, and actually the city wouldn't have to pay for that. Simon Kempworth, actually, new fence.
Oh, new fence.
They want to go 6 feet, and I believe they had spoke with Chamlin last year, and they recommend a 6-foot fence. They said something about the city says we can't really go less than 6 feet. It'd be cheaper if they could put another 3-foot fence up in the outfield, but if they can't, then they go 6 foot. Are you familiar with what they're referring to, Simon Kempworth?
Probably wouldn't be a city regulation, it may be a softball regulation.
No, actually, he said came from the Chamlins.
It could be something with zoning. I mean, we'd have to look into it,
Okay.
to be honest with you. I mean, and with the parks and
Yeah.
whatnot, we can look into that. I mean, that's not a terrible thing, so.
They say it's an old fence. There's some safety concerns with it, and they have like $14,000 to invest into that. Looking forward to them doing that for next year. And other than that, I don't believe there's anything else that.
Real quick.
Yes.
Did they? How did the ice rink go? I didn't have a chance to talk to you. Did that? I met with Steve and.
Yeah. There was one. Simon Kempworth kind of had some opposition, but he was concerned that there was going to have to be some more work done to it after we removed the rink.
I think one of the concerns that was brought up to me late last week was with the potential kids and people that will be walking around the diamond, when it's not exactly frozen and things like that there'd be some damage. After looking at the layout and talking to Steve McElhaney, who's on the park board, the actual ice rink will pretty much take up the entire infield.
Right.
So I don't see too much damage as far as that goes. We can always put plywood down around the outsides if we had to. We have some small pieces laying around that we could just to help prevent that, but I don't see too much. Minus normal maintenance, raking, and things like that as the season goes on.
The damage will occur in the outfield is where they're talking about, right?
No. They put turfus down in the infield. Simon called me, and that's what they're worried about. And McElhaney went in and redid all that diamond, and that's what they're worried about with the turfus.
Right, and I think they were worried about the people walking on it, was what I was told the other day. And that's when I found out that we were pretty much covering the entire infield with the ice skating rink. So I don't see that being an entire problem. The outfield was another problem.
Yeah.
My comment to that was, right now everything's pretty dormant. I mean, we're kind of getting in a season where the grass isn't growing. So when you cover it, you really shouldn't have a problem with it come spring. And then the thought is we get the tarp and everything off the outfield before it really starts to try to grow again.
Right.
Now, that's all going to be weather dependent, obviously. So that was my concern going into it, but I don't think it's a huge concern at this time.
Now, if there's damage, we definitely have to make sure that we get that back in order for them for the
Well, our guys will get it
fall
taken
year.
care of.
And this is for 1 year. We're looking at Centennial Park, correct, for next year?
Possibly, yes. There was a bunch of different parks. The big thing right now is the slope or the grade. I don't remember the exact numbers, but the ice, you can only have about an 8-inch vertical differential from one side of the ice rink to the other to make it work. And most of the other parks, except for 28th Street Park, I believe, has a significant, I mean, we're talking a couple feet in the length of the ice skating rink. So the thought that we had was possibly look at Centennial, bring some dirt in, and kind of somewhat flatten it out to make it work. So I mean, that's an option we're looking at, but I'd encourage we start that process a little earlier next year and maybe start looking at it like May when we can do all this work.
The lighting over at McKinley Park, how does that work? Is there a switch for that, like over at Washington, the tennis courts?
Yeah, we can make whatever work. Right now, I believe it's just a switch out on the pole right now. But we'd have to look at that.
Okay.
For sure we're going there.
Okay. Spoke with Chief King, and he's been corresponding with the owners of Crazy D's, and hopefully he'll be pushing on that. And he's been communicating with them, and finally got back to him, I believe, yesterday. And I guess she's been sick, so hopefully that will get cleaned up and put into a pile over the next couple of weeks.
We're pushing them.
Yep.
I know him and I have had many conversations of that, so we're trying to push them.
Yep. So, other than that, I have nothing else, Your Honor.
Okay, any reports, city attorney, ordinance, resolutions?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Any unfinished business? Any new business? Do we have a motion to approve the proclamation National Drunk and Drug Driving 3D Prevention Month for the month of December 2013 in the city of Peru?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Radke. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Petitions, communications?
Your Honor, just the communication that you handed out to the council with the initial conversation regarding next year's Central States tournament, so everybody can review that and we'll act on it at a future meeting.
You have the only copy. You'll have to copy and distribute.
I'll forward this to you guys. So we got a communication from Tim Trevere, District 20, regarding the Central States tournament, and I'll distribute this.
Any other petitions, communications?
None, Your Honor.
Does he give dates in that letter when that'll be next year? It looks like the tournament will be in Peru and Oglesby if we approve it here in Peru, August 1st through August 6th. And they're also asking for a sponsorship of $2,500, so everybody will be, that just came tonight at 10 after 6, something like that, so everybody will get a copy. Any public comment? Have any public comment? Does anybody have a public comment? Any public comment at this time? Okay, we need to go into a closed session. Number one would be collective negotiating matters between public employers and their employees or representatives, and meetings where the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body is considered, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired, meetings where setting of the price for sale or lease of real estate owned by the public body is being considered, and meetings held to discuss litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting. And meetings held to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing, testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee or legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. So that's, and I think you have the same sheet I do, clerk, so that's 1, 3, 4, and 5. So do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call vote. Clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Okay, in closed session. We'll
Do we need a
move
motion to
from
go
closed
back
session and return to open meeting. We'll have a roll call vote. Clerk call roll.
in? Alderman Putoff.
Here.
Ferrari.
Here.
Waldorf. Lukosius.
Here.
Perez. Radke.
Here.
Mueller.
Here.
Sapienza.
Clerk Bartley,
Yes.
would you please note, or I'd like to just say thank you to the city council for a professional meeting tonight, and thank you to the city council for staying here very late. It's obvious that one member of the city council didn't want to be part of a solution, or didn't want to be part of a professional resolution, and I'd like to thank the rest of you people for being part of that.
Clerk Bartley, I would also like to place on the agenda for Monday night's meeting that we will present a motion to appoint retired Judge William Balestri to investigate and review a personnel matter before the City of Peru.
I'll place that on the agenda.
Is there any other business to bring before the council? Is there a motion for adjourn?
So moved.
Second it.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.